Hi, I'm Brendan, and this is Hetty, our 60-year-old split-screen campervan. We've just spent the last few days in Glastonbury. We visited the Abbey, Chalice Well, parked up at the tour. The handbrake didn't want to quite play ball and hold Hetty in place. And on the way home, we pulled in here. We weren't quite sure what to expect, but nothing can quite prepare you for standing in front of these huge stones that have been here since before the Romans have arrived. Although throughout the trip Hetty performed absolutely brilliantly, we did have a slight moment at the tour. In the video you can see where she's parked, her wheels are pointing in towards the curb. That's because her handbrake didn't want to quite hold properly. I used a couple of tactics my dad had taught me. Turn the wheels into the curb so if she does roll forward she stops against it, and put her in the opposite gear. With that sorted, I carried on up the tour for a very windy climb. It's just a gentle reminder really that running a 60-year-old van is a commitment. You don't just drive Hetty, you negotiate with her. Here we are. Back at Hetty. As always, my lovely wife took it in her stride. As with everything to do with Hetty, we're used to how she operates, so it's gotten not so scary now when you pull up at the side of the road because something's not quite right. You just get on and fix it. We're heading back to Essex, and this took us right through Wiltshire. So this didn't really feel like a detour, it was more like the final chapter of the trip. So we pulled into the English Heritage Visitor Car Park and new Visitor Centre. Looking back, we had a bit of an amateur van life moment here, not realising that you can actually park virtually next to the stones on the drove. But this was our first visit, so we did the full tourist thing. The Visitor Centre itself is brilliant. There's a 360-degree screen in there that takes you through the entire history of the monument, and loads of artefacts. You could easily spend hours in there. Then, going outside, there's examples of roundhouses and a huge sarsen stone on a sled to show how they might have moved them. When we got outside, there's a choice. You can walk to the stones, which is about a mile, or you can catch the shuttle bus. Now, that sort of distance is not feasible for my other half. So, she caught the shuttle bus and I walked. Now, you can walk down the road where the shuttle bus goes, or you can walk across the fields. And I walked some of it on the road just to give my legs a break because, like I said in a previous video, I'm not that fit at the minute. So as I got closer, you walk through some woodland. So I noticed to the left there was something inside the trees. So I went in to investigate, and lo and behold, in a clearing by the trees, I found this barrow and was able to walk up and down it and have a good look round it, which is probably as close as I was going to get to one. So then you continue to walk through the trees. You come to a field, and they've also put information point there that helps you to understand what you're looking at in the site. As you walk across the field towards where the shuttle bus comes up, and where the drove is, where all the people that know what they're doing park their campers. You walk across this big flat open plain, and then you've got barrows either side, and it's absolutely amazing. It really is. It was a bit breezy, not as bad as the tour, but it was great. And I wish my other half could have been with me, but it's just how things are. So I met her at the shuttle bus stop, and then we went into the monument together. What hits you first is the size. These aren't just big rocks. The outer ring, those big trilithons, they're sarsen stones. Each one weighs up to 25 tonnes. Which sounds manageable, but then you remember that this was 4,500 years ago. No cranes, no roads, just brute force. But the inner horseshoe, those bluestones, they come from the Preseli Hills in Wales, 250 miles away, which is incredible. Across rivers, across the Severn. No one knows entirely why, and no one knows entirely how they did it either, but here they are. The whole structure is built with amazing precision. At midsummer, the sunrise aligns with the hillstone and floods the centre of the monument with sunlight. In winter, it does the same from the other direction with the setting sun. This wasn't an accident. This was built by people who had observed the sky and knew how everything moved. For a long time, people associate Stonehenge with the Druids as a Druid temple. I certainly thought it was that way until we visited here, and you can see them here at the solstice every year. But here's one of Stonehenge's little secrets. It actually predates the Druids by nearly 2,000 years. The people that built this, we don't know their names, we don't know their language. We do though have their bones. These have been found in hundreds of cremation urns buried around the site by archaeologists. But other than that, they're a total mystery. Standing here, we kept thinking about the dial on top of Glastonbury Tor, the one that points to the ley lines and shows its orientation in relation to the rest of the landscape. And on there is St Michael's Line. That runs from St Michael's Mount in Cornwall through Glastonbury Tor and up north, and it comes through very near to Stonehenge. Whether you believe in ley lines as literal energy lines or just as routes from place to place, there's a connection here that shows that all these sites are linked. I stood on the Tor a day ago, and now I'm here. And without meaning to, Hetty had actually driven us along this ancient route and brought us here. To be brutally honest, if I hadn't left the rat race and I'd have come here, I'd probably be like everyone is. That's very, very impressive. Seen the stones, taken some pictures and moved on. I wouldn't have slowed down enough to really look at everything else and actually really dwell on what this place means. But because we'd been to Glastonbury in this old van, visiting Glastonbury Abbey, visiting Chalice Well, going up the Tor in that wind, I think because we'd been in places that were still quiet, intimate. In fact, the closest to this in numbers of people was the Tor. But because those places are still quiet and sacred and intimate, this place landed differently as well. And we viewed it in a different light. Even though it's the most famous site in Britain, we got a chance to view it as we never could have while we were still part of the rat race. I found myself thinking about camping trips with my old man when I was a kid. We used to get dragged round ancient villages, all the souvenir shops. And it was just, at the time, as a kid, I just found it the most boring thing ever. My dad wasn't a history buff, but I think he liked getting out and seeing places when we went away on holiday. And I think I sort of understand that a bit now, because you can see pictures of Stonehenge, you can read everything there is to know about it, but until you stand there in front of those stones and you see for yourself, you still don't quite grasp it properly. It's a bit like owning this old van, really. You don't really appreciate how much effort and love goes into it until you actually drive it and have to fix it at the side of the road, things like that. Each journey isn't just getting from A to B, it's about the journey itself, and that's what makes it fun. And you don't really understand that until you own one, or own a classic car, not necessarily a camper. So, Glastonbury to Stonehenge, ancient abbey to ancient stones, a dodgy handbrake on the tour, a long road home, one last sacred stop. When we got Hetty home, we sorted the handbrake out and gave her a tune-up that should well and truly earn. You look after an old van like this, and it looks after you. Every time we think we've found the best sacred site in Britain, we realise that we've only just scratched the surface. So we're planning our next trip already, and I've got a feeling that the further we get from the well-known places, the more interesting we're going to find it. As always, thanks so much for watching and being part of this journey. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.